So I had this sermon shared with me recently from a church I hadn't heard of, from a pastor I hadn't heard of, which is irrelevant, but the sermon was titled Suffocated, and it really talked about the parable of the sower and the different types of soils that the seeds were planted on, and the fertile one, the one that no growth was done because everything was scorched, the one full of stones, and the one full of thorns. And as believers, we can read that and we can tend to believe and strive for being that good soil that things grow well in. And after listening to this guy's sermon and some of the things he discussed, I think he's right, and I know that that for the longest time I thought I was that I'm really the soil with a bunch of thorns in it. That there are things that have grown up in my life, both before and after following Jesus, that strive to choke out the life that's there. And some of them can be obvious. And as we, through the process of sanctification, the Lord reveals those to us. But there's other things that I personally, I felt very convicted by this message, because there's things in our lives that are choking us out, and we don't even realize it because they've been there for so long. We've just become complacent with it, or it's a part of who we are. We find our identity in it. And so anybody that's watched the last couple videos I've shared knows that where I work, I'm under new management, which has presented itself with its own issues right out the gate. And there was a lot of stress and a lot of anxiety and a lot of the unknown. And I truly believe that the Lord still wants me there, and I still believe He does want me there, regardless of my comfort level. And I just chose, and I'm choosing to be obedient through this process. What He's revealing to me now, because of this change, I have more help. I've always had, since I was in high school, I worked a job where there were no backups. It was me. And trying to take time off or not be at work for whatever reason was very limited. So at an early age, I created this idea of my obligation to be at work. And don't get me wrong, this is different than just providing and pulling my weight, but this obsessive obligation of being at work. And then my next job, the one that I worked for 15 years, my original boss, I was salary, and at salary you think 40 hours and I'm done, but in his mind, if you didn't work 50, you weren't really working. And so I got into this groove. Another coworker and I, kind of followed suit, and we got into this groove where we're working 10 to 12 hour days daily, and then every now and then a Saturday. And once you've done that for so long, to try to work 8 hours, you feel like you're cheating the company all of a sudden. And it's not that you are, but personally, my brain had been programmed to work, and that not putting in the time and not making myself necessary felt like I was cheating them. And what the Lord's revealing to me is that what I've done over the years is I have sacrificed my identity and my time with my family and my lifestyle to make sure that I can be at work as much as I need to be at work. Now there's help there that I'm resistant to take, because it's like breaking a bad habit. But as I do, then it's like a veil has dropped, and I see these thorns like a job, this drive to constantly work and provide, which then facilitates a lifestyle that's been created over years of working that way. Lifestyles as far as what we spend our money on, what we spend our time on, and a mindset. And now so I'm just in this uncomfortable season, because as the Lord tries to reveal this to me, my soul wants to follow, but my brain inherently is stuck in old patterns. And I know the Lord's going to get me through this. And so it's just an incredible season to be in right now, because it's like seeing something that's been in front of me this entire time, and I'm seeing it in a different light for the first time. And I truly believe that the Lord has me here at this job, in this moment, in this feeling, for something much larger. And I have no idea what it is. And I don't have to know. And I've said that before, that I don't need to know. I just need to trust. But to step back and I mean, what thorns are in your life that you have just grown to accept, and you've maybe even convinced yourself that's just how it is. Like, I don't want to have to, like, what are we chasing? Like, am I working all this to provide a lifestyle so that we can just stay up with the Joneses, versus I don't want to have a job that I can't decide, hey, not that I want to call in sick, but man, it's beautiful out and I could take the kids to the water park today. I wish I could call off work. And and some people would say that's lazy, but there's a priority here. There's always a chance to make that money. And it shouldn't even be about the money, but the time that we have, and our days are numbered. And what are we spending our days on? Building up the bank account, or just trying to live paycheck to paycheck to chase after something that we really shouldn't have had in the first place, versus really seeing what the Lord has laid out in front of you, the blessings that He's already given you, and then falling back and trusting that He will provide regardless of what we want and what we think, that He always makes a way. So it was huge, and I got to re-listen to this sermon, but it's just amazing when we can finally surrender, and the Lord brings us to that point of surrender. And sometimes it's surrendering something very small, which then leads to something a little bigger, which time after time, that's part of the sanctification. Is it's holiness. It's a strive for holiness through what the Lord is doing in your life. And the only way to move forward is to leave the old behind, and to walk away from it, and to lay it at the foot of the cross. And when we leave a little bit, we get a lot in return. It may not be as fast as we want it, and I have to convince myself every now and then, or somebody else has to, of, hey, look at this, look what the Lord's doing in your life. Or we have to remind people, look at the Lord is doing, because sometimes we don't see things the way that they really are. So I just wanted to share that with you, and I pray that the Lord would continue to do this awesome thing that He's doing, and that He would just give me the strength and courage to be patient in the unknown, in the uncomfortable, and that I think that there's a breakthrough coming, and sometimes it's just not like a blowout, it's just like a gradual thing, and that's part of the ride. And I pray that if you can identify the thorns in your life, and you see what's choking you out, that you would ask the Lord to help remove those. And then if you're vulnerable enough, you can reach out to somebody else and talk about it, because talking about it makes it real. It puts it out there. And if it's a sin, or if it's an addiction, or if it's any kind of darkness that's holding you back, then I definitely recommend you find somebody that you truly trust, that you can share that with, because when we bring that darkness out into the light, it's dead. It's the first part of the battle. We have to drag it out of the dark into the light and allow the Lord to do what He's going to do. And open communication, honesty, and fellowship is a huge portion of that. I love you guys. This was a longer video. I hope you stayed with me, so I'll be praying for you guys.